Hey guys, this is Gamer Cow. Sorry if this is a little quiet. I'm trying to keep my voice a little bit more muted here because my throat has been really bad this last week and a bit. That's why I've not done more Lost Branch of Legend playthrough stuff, because I just physically have not been able to actually do any real talking without having a coughing fit. I'm just about getting there now, but I'm trying to keep it in check because I've just done a short stream, which is where this replay comes from. I had an amazing game to play here that I really did not think was going to be a good game at all. I was tempted to just forfeit when I couldn't do anything about what was going on, but I stuck with it, and it turned out to be one of the greatest games I have played so far this season. It's been absolutely amazing. I have played the Vaalmonica Fiendsmith stuff today, up against a tier 1 deck, right? The full power Snake Eye Azamina Fiendsmith stuff. This has been absolutely insane, to be completely honest with you, and one of the only reasons I've not tried to learn it is because I'm still missing some of the cards for it. But this is the best deck in the room, before, at the very least, before the Blue Eyes Primite stuff came out. We'll see if that can compete, but it's nuts. It's everything that you would want basically in here, and the duel was super crazy, so let's just get straight into it here. I'm going to be pausing quite a bit because the replays go super fast here, and I will try and run through as much of the Snake Eye stuff as I can, but I'm not very familiar with the combo, I'll be completely honest with you, because it doesn't usually get this far, and even if it does, it's like, I am not the one on the receiving end of stuff. I don't know. So right off, we see Lurie getting pitched for Diabell Star, which is going to get us the original Simple Spores. That might mess up the Fiendsmith stuff later on, but for now it's okay. Get ourselves Snake Eye Ash out of the deck. Ash does not get ashed, unfortunately. I do not have hand traps in this hand. So Poplar comes in, Poplar gets to special summon itself by its own effect, and that adds the field spell, the Divine Temple, to the hand. That then lets you get Snake Eye Diabell Star out of the deck. Deception comes down, doesn't really do anything in the end, but I imagine they were trying to engineer a spot to go through the Azamina line here as well, but they did not end up doing that, so fair enough, I suppose. Snake Eye Ash's second effect comes in here to send itself and the Poplar in order to special summon a Snake Eye monster from the deck, which is the Oak. Oak then gets to special summon the Ash back, and Poplar, when it's sent to graveyard, puts itself in the back row, which is more important for later on with Flamberge Dragon stuff. So now the Snake Eye Oak gets to send the Poplar and itself in order to summon the Flamberge Dragon out, which is then going to put a couple of dudes into the back row once it goes away to make IP Masquerena with the Snake Eye Ash. IP is usually made in order to get put into the back row later on in the turn, so that you can summon it out in the opponent's turn and get interrupts and do all the fun stuff that this deck can do from there. Flamberge puts these two Goobers on the field. The Snake Eye Diabell Star then gets the Poplar back into the back row so that it can summon itself. These Snake Eye Oak and the Masquerena can then get Link summoned into Moon, and now we've got the full Fiendsmith part to go through as well. Any two monsters go into Moon. We had a bit of a chat in the Twitch chat at the time of like, so when do we ban Moon? And I'm like, no, you ban Sequence before you ban Moon. But anyway, Moon goes into Requiem, goes into Fiendsmith Engraver from the deck. Bonfire then gets added. This hand literally just had absolutely everything, right? All gas, no hand traps. Absolutely crazy. So Bonfire gets to add Birch. Birch can special summon itself here, so it just gets to go for free. And then Sequence gets linked in with Engraver and the Birch. So now we can go ahead and make Desiree. So we do that, we shuffle the Engraver and the two Link Monster Light Fiends that we have gone through, that's still there, and then this gets to make the big Negate Monster himself, Fiendsmith's Desiree. Absolutely rocking that Switch Axe, it's amazing. We then make Promethean Princess with Ash and Sequence, so now we are fire locked for just now, but that's totally fine. Flamberge comes back, and then Sequence gets to attach to the Desiree. This is what gives it its negate. It also gives it targeting protection, which is pretty annoying to deal with. And then the Flamberge now gets to put IP Masquerena into the back row so that they can get summoned out later. Last card was a back row, so probably infinite impermanence here. And this is a heck of a board, let me tell you. So, what exactly are we dealing with here? Promethean Princess is currently on board, which does make things a little bit more awkward, but Desiree will be able to negate it halfway through. Desiree can negate one of my cards and also the princess so that we can special summon non-fire monsters. Pretty annoying. The Flamberge Dragon lets you special summon the IP Masquerena, so IP into SP Little Knight for a banish is pretty good. We're potentially running with infinite permanence here, which is also kind of annoying. And if you use Promethean Princess as part of the link material with IP, that will let you then have a destruction effect that you can interrupt with on the special summon of a monster. Which, yeah, is quite a lot. It's not quite as crazy as I was expecting, but it is still quite a lot to work with. I don't think this actually did anything too much, but it is a material that's on board, so that could be useful in its own right. So let's see how we can crack that with honestly a really good looking hand here. We just have to play through the negates and hope. The real problem is that if Desiree negates the scales, then I'm in trouble, because if I can't put resonance counters down, I can't really build my counter attack here. So I have to play it in such a way that we try to force out stuff like that before we put scales down, and just hope that we can make it work that way. So we draw, we get Fiendsmith Tract is insane. That is going to be a really good one to try and make the opponent interact with us on. So yeah, really happy to see that. I'm going to start with a field spell. The crazy name of this thing, I'm not going to even try and pronounce it, to be totally honest with you. This will help us get another Vaalmonica monster out of the deck, and they do choose to let it go, so we'll get another Cellatrix here. Then we'll fire the Tract to try and add the Lurie and get our own Fiendsmith stuff going, and they immediately go, nope, we are going to negate that, probably because they need the lock off of this as well. So they immediately negate this. That's the main interaction that I was worried about out of the way. We do still have to worry about IP into SP, which is a problem, but now this should go through. So we go Cellatrix. This will trigger the Divine Temple to special summon the IP Masquerena, but that's okay because that's not a negation, so I'm fine with that. We add our Skeletor for searching, and Demono can now pitch the Engraver, so we can summon that back later on. And it was a bit tough because I was like, I can't really afford not to try and go for scales here. They can banish one of them, but so long as I have one scale in play, I can use Skeletor to get Invertare and get the other one back anyway. So it's not ideal, but I can probably still make a board from here. So I fire this off now. They do Flamberge to special summon the Poplar. That's not using IP, so I think I'm okay with that as a thing. So now with the scale set, we go for the Skeletor to search. We will take some damage, and they go IP here. So now I'm thinking, okay, they're using IP Masquerena to go into SP so that they can banish the Demono on resolution, and that's gonna suck. But again, if I get Invertare, then I can kind of work around it for the most part. They don't know we have Disharmonia, but we could use Disharmonia for it as well if we really, really needed to, right? So there's ways of working around it, and I think I'm in a reasonable enough spot. So the IP resolves, and they link 4, because they're linking into a 4 material Apollousa. This presents an opportunity. So they're obviously trying to negate all of my monster effects from here, right? That's the obvious play to go for, I suppose. This thing cannot be destroyed by card effects as well, so that's kind of neat. But there is a nice little effect on this field spell where if you manage to put a third resonance counter specifically on one of your bodies, one of your scales, you get to steal one of the opponent's monsters. And we have the tools to do exactly that thanks to Disharmonia. So we'll take the damage, we'll add Invertare, and then immediately, there is a catch to this, but immediately as soon as we're able to, we're going to use the Disharmonia here. Now Snake Eyes Poplar does get to activate because it was sent to the graveyard, so it does get to put itself back in scale, like, it'll put the Dear Bellstar back in scale, sorry. It doesn't have to put itself, it just puts a fire monster in your grave back there. So Dear Bellstar is there, and now we do have the Promethean Princess to worry about as well. But now that it's back to my turn, if you will, we do get to fire the Disharmonia, we add the Skeleton back to hand, and we go ahead and get our extra counter here. I actually don't think I had to add the Skeleton back here, and that could have been a good idea not to do here. So you do get to like take the damage, then you can add a Vaalmonica card. I probably should have left it in the graveyard here. I forgot that it was optional to add if you wanted to still take the damage here. Really, the goal here was to get both counters here to make it 3 counters on this thing, and then we can steal, thanks to the field spell, and there's no more negates for that, we can steal the Apollousa. It's only resistant to destruction. It is not resistant to targeting thanks to IP. So now it's our Apollousa, right? And we have the monster negates for them, which is really fun. So we go Infitare, we get to add our scales to the extra deck at this point. We go Pendulum Summon into the 3 that we have here. As a side note, always put Demono in the extra deck if you can, because this sets up Fiendsmith plays. You'll see that in a minute. So we get to Pendulum Summon all 3 of them. Promethean Princess comes out now because we have a special summon. So it gets to targets the Flamberge and the Cellatrix. I don't know if that was really correct. You can't destroy the Apollousa, right? So I guess it has to target one of these. But I would have thought you would have targeted one of the Gremlins here, because these are the things that are going to do extra effects. But they target the Cellatrix, I guess, fair enough. I will try and negate it because I'm not getting anything else this Apollousa is going to do, and that procs the Imperm, which we figured probably would be what was there, but this is when they decide to use it, so we no longer have the negates here. That's fine. We lose one of our bodies. Okay, we still get to bring this back to our hand, which is fair enough. The Flamberge Dragon also gets to special summon a thing here as well, but that doesn't really do that much here. Like, these are still going to be destroyed fairly easily. And Promethean Princess is back on the board. It's used that effect. We do have to now deal with the fact that this is going to special summon stuff, right? And they do have another target for Snake Eye Ash in deck too. They're just playing multiple copies of Oak here, which is kind of funny. So the Poplar gets put back on the board, and here's when the magic happens. So I take a quick look through the extra here, and I realize, wait, we can make Evil Swarm Exciton Knight here. That gets us the zone here perfectly set up again, which is pretty good. And then we make Zebufera with the Apollousa. Just takes any it's any monster really, actually any effect monster. You just turn it into this once you've got 3 counters of here. And, as it turns out, if a card you control would be destroyed by battle or card effect, any card effect, remove 3 resonance counters on your Pendulum Zone instead. So we actually get to use Evil Swarm Exciton Knight here, because they've got way more cards than we do, blow up the entire board, except we protect our entire board because we remove the counters. So we get to fully delete every single monster on every single card on their board. They don't take any damage for the rest of this turn, and I do slightly forget that it's not just battle damage, but it doesn't really change the plays I would make anyway. So that's fine. We just deleted their whole board, and it's absolutely glorious. So Fiendsmith Desiree here now gets to send one of my monsters to the graveyard. Technically it sends any card on the field. They could have deleted the scale again here, and that would have been probably more annoying, but I can understand why they wouldn't do that. So they send Zebufera because that's the advantage machine on their turn, so I can't damage them, right? So we don't have that part to go into. But you know what Exciton Knight still is? He's a Light Fiend. And you know what Zebufera also is? It's a Light Fiend. So we can use the Engraver that we sent way earlier in the turn to shuffle the Zebufera back into the extra, and we get to bring him back. So now that the board is dealt with, we can do more or less what we want, right? We can go Fiendsmith Requiem here and do our own Fiendsmith line. So we get the second Engraver out of the deck. We use the Tract to fuse here, just because it's a free use of it, to be completely honest with you. So we get Lacrima into play, Lacrima can special summon the Engraver, and this gives us an extra name in the graveyard. But I can't. The only reason to really do this is because we would be able to do some extra damage with this, and I kind of forgot that damage doesn't work. So we shuffle the Exton Knight back, get no damage out of it, that's fine. But we still get to make Desiree of our own by using the bodies that we have here. And then we can turn our Pendulum monster plus the Fiendsmith sequence into Exceed. Exceed the Pendulum will then have two effects that are going to trigger here. One to add Angelo to the hand from the extra deck, and one to special summon Demono, which is in the graveyard right now. So that gives us an extra material there. And we can convert these, once we equip our own Desiree, we can convert these into a 2 material Apollosa. So we have gone from the opponent having absolutely everything and having full board space on their side to suddenly we have, you know, Desiree plus Apollosa in play, and it's just like, whoa, you know, they have one card and nothing else to really work with. Absolutely insane that we were able to turn that around like so much. It's all because Exciton Knight is in here. If you're looking at ways to upgrade the Loner deck that's in the tryout duel at the moment, Exciton Knight is a huge one for it. It puts the Demono into the graveyard, so it's really good for getting enough materials for your Fiendsmith play as well. So, as well as being a light fiend in its own right. I think we maybe could have still gone very slightly further than this. As I said, it is optional to add the Skeletor back to hand. I did not realize that at the time, but now that I'm looking back at this game, I think we maybe could have done a little bit more if I allowed this to stay in the graveyard, because I could have used Demono, banish this, and get another add out the deck, so we might have actually been able to end on a much more powerful board here. We could have ended on Nightmare Griffin maybe, and that would have been even better. But this is still ridiculously good. I am not going to complain of this whatsoever. They do get Deception back, but honestly, Deception is not really that scary just by itself. They have the Oak that we knew about. We can just Apollosa negate that, so that doesn't get to do anything useful. Then they will flip the Deception, use the Deception after Link summoning Link Karibo here. They will use Deception to go ahead and tribute the Link Karibo. We just go, alright, you've got one card left in hand, Desiree negate here. The last card is Cross Out, and they had barely any time left as it was. So they do actually time limit lose here, they rope out. But yeah, you can't cross out designated Desiree because it has to come from deck, not extra deck or graveyard or any of that sort of bit. So yeah, Desiree was still going to negate anyway, and yeah, we wrapped up the thing. Absolutely insane turnaround with that. I seriously did not think that a full uninterrupted Snake Eye board was going to be close to beatable at that. If you want to see what my deck is currently like, it is relatively straightforward as far as it goes. It's very similar to the Loner deck, actually. It's through coincidence, because I've been building this deck for quite a bit. Seen a couple of iterations of this on Master Duel meta, and this is what I'm currently landed on here. Unfortunately, Varar, the link to Vaalmonica, is just not really worth it. I haven't got one yet, but I've been testing it on Omega. It just doesn't really do that much. But the counter trap is definitely worth playing. This card is really, really good. So, yeah. Honestly, it is very fun. Just like how it's a relatively consistent deck too. Got a decent bit of hand trap space in there. It's 13 that's currently in there. You can maybe cut the Ghost Ogre if you want to put another Invitari in, for example. But overall, I think it is very solid right now. Some of the extra deck all-stars, Exceed the Pendulum is one that also is massive include compared to what the Loner deck has. Wave High King Caesar is pretty useful if you've only got the Fiendsmith side of things. Being able to convert into a negate summon negate is pretty good. And I mean, this basically does what the Vaalmonica Link 2 would do, right? What Varar does. And the other thing that I wouldn't show here but would show in other games is Nightmare Griffin is just banned in the TCG, but it is very usable here because you're able to make Zebufera if you aggressively put your resonance counters down, and then Link Nightmare Griffin into the center of your board so that it is not affected by, it doesn't give your opponent any link arrows, so they have nowhere to summon monsters to in order to activate their effects. And then the other neat thing that it can do is it can recycle your trap card if you still got the spare card in hand. So if you go for Sare at some point, mill the Vaalmonica trap, one of the two of them, you can pick it up again with Nightmare Griffin at the end of the turn. Really, really good stuff. I could talk about this deck for absolutely ages because Vaalmonica is one of my 2 favorite themes that have come out in the last few years, and it's one of the big reasons why I'm playing the game at the moment, because I just absolutely adore the theme of this one, and the playstyle is really, really good too. So yeah, that's it for this though. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully it was enjoyable. I tried my best to get through the combo line stuff, but again, Snake Eye is not my forte. So I need to actually maybe play that deck at some point, but I need the stuff for it first. I'm saving for other decks right now. So yeah, but until next time, thanks for watching and take care.